You know, there are some media interviews which promise so much hype and epic drama, but inevitably fail to deliver. Last night's Oprah Winfrey marathon interview with mainly Meghan and then Harry for a bit, I think certainly lived up to the hype. It was a compelling, at times explosive inside story about a very naive couple who just didn't handle the pressure well at all and may have been unsupported by the firm. And while every man, woman and dog seemed to be titillated by it today, it was the casual talking point everywhere, I've got to say I came away with a distinctively angry point of view about what they had done and what they had achieved, if anything. Angry that this entitled, grossly wealthy and famous couple felt it necessary to ingratiate themselves with the world and throw the Queen and a 1,200-year-old institution under a London bus. First, Meghan found it necessary to report a seemingly shocking case of racism.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
That conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Can you tell us what the question was?
No, I'm not comfortable sharing that.
Okay.
An unsourced remark which they didn't believe would affect too many people. All members of the royal family were tarnished instantly. Now, thankfully, the host told CBS viewers today that Harry was not referring to his grandparents.
Yes, and he did not share the identity with me, but he wanted to make sure that I knew, and if I had an opportunity to share it, that it was not his grandmother nor his grandfather that were a part of those conversations.
Well, that's great, but the rest of the family are now presumed, one of them, two of them, who knows, as being racist. Did they not think that that would damage the royal family forever? And does anyone really believe that Archie's skin colour was a crucial topic of secret official discussion? Why? So that a technique could be found to change his skin colour? Or he'd maybe be hidden from the public view forever if he was really dark? As if. Meghan has beaten this up big time. Of course, a union between someone with dark skin and someone who's very Anglo-red like Harry, it would provide obvious chat about how the baby would look. It's not racism. It is the fascination of mixing different genes and the birth of a baby. Secondly, Meghan also felt it necessary to tell us she was suicidal and couldn't seek help, which is very sad. But why was Meghan doing all the work to seek help, knocking on doors, going to human resources? Harry couldn't even bring it up.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
That conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Can you tell us what the question was?
No, I'm not comfortable sharing that.
Okay.
So what they actually said was that Harry didn't think it necessary to raise it because they wouldn't be listened to. So what was the truth in there? She did all the work to try and get help, but Harry didn't have the guts to demand a psychiatrist be brought in. That seems to be what happened if you look at the inconsistency with both their comments. And so why say any of this? Why? They wanted to make sure we all knew that Meghan was made to cry before her wedding, and she didn't make Kate Middleton cry, as reported. Really? Big deal. They wanted the world to know how horrible it is to live in opulent palaces with servants, babysitters, a stack of chauffeurs, security brief, chefs and waiters while travelling the world. I'm sorry, hardly anyone buys that. Or was it about ensuring they were left alone and needed a private life? No. The interview achieved the complete opposite. To me, this was just a very selfish, a narcissistic stunt, very immature stunt, to give those who run the royal family the bird and to say, look, we didn't stick to your rules, we ran, we won. They complained about Archie not having separate security detail. What, their own large team of security looking after mum and dad would not be enough? They are not heirs to the throne, which is why the couple's children too are not automatically given prince or princess titles either. It's not a change in protocol. Anne and Edward's children didn't receive prince or princess titles. The only reason Andrew and Fergie's children received those was that the Queen made a special exemption for the girls. And after whinging about all of this, they both had the temerity to say how much they loved the Queen.
Did you blindside the Queen?
No. I've never blindsided my grandmother. I have too much respect for her. My grandmother and I have a really good relationship and an understanding, and I have a deep respect for her. She's my Colonel-in-Chief, right?
Because the Queen, for example, has always been wonderful to me.
How can they do this to her then? How can they claim respect and love for the head of the royal family when they trash her family, trash the systems the Queen upholds, and hurt both the Queen and, more importantly, Prince Philip, who's actually still in hospital, ill? The timing has got to be the epitome of selfishness. Elizabeth II is too regal and mature, hopefully, to reply to this garbage, but how could she not feel terribly hurt and terribly betrayed? As for Prince Charles, well, he was trashed for not communicating with Harry, but Harry did throw in that he was adopting his own path without any approval. And why should Daddy finance a 40-year-old son who happens to have many millions of dollars in inheritance in the bank anyway and doesn't want to be part of the family, doesn't want to adhere to historic rules? Harry and his very naive wife, who inexplicably didn't research her future husband's background, work that out, have effectively handed their father, in particular, a poisoned chalice. What chance does Charles have now of retaining the world's faith and trust in a monarchy led by him? It's just been grossly besmirched. I ask again, for what purpose? To set the record straight on meaningless tabloid allegations? How terribly insecure and entitled they both still are.